What's going on? Kind of want to express some things here about rampant corruption, okay? See, during the 70s, when Vietnam was going on, at the same time in Harlem, these heroin kingpins were basically owning the city at the time, man. And actually, Nixon is the one who started the drug war because they were all in on it. I mean, in a way, they're in Vietnam. And even in one of these movies, it shows that this guy secured the Frank Lucas dude. There's the other dude, Mr. Untouchable. They don't talk about him as much. I think what is his name, Nicky Barnes. You know what I'm saying? But basically, during that era, the entire New York police force was corrupt. Everybody was in on it. You know what I'm saying? Another time this same sort of thing happened was in Miami during the cocaine cowboys era, okay? Basically, the entire Miami police force was robbing cocaine dealers. And look, it seems like people in power love to play both sides of the fence. You know what I'm saying? And it's also more Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution type of operation. Because at the same time, you got these guys knowing that it's coming in because they're in on it and benefiting, profiting from it some way. They're also using this as a boogeyman to dangle on the public to justify all their measures, okay? I mean, basically, look, the Nazis, okay? Totally rotten and exploitative and bias to the core, like total eugenics gone wild, and the communists as well, with their merciless statism. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, man. I don't see doctors as heroes. A lot of these doctors make stuff that hurts people and kills people, and medicines that makes people have thoughts suicide. Oh, may have organ failure. So look, and once again, in the Nazi regime, the medical field was weaponized against the people, and everyone was an unwitting participant in experiments. They were experimentees. That's what this Nuremberg stuff's all about. Like right now, there's a lot of disregarding of the Nuremberg here in America. I mean, there's a movie called In Lies We Trust where it shows that the biodefense department is the one who created all this weaponized jabberwocky. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even the Nazis did this false flag against their own people called the Reichstag event and Night of the Broken Glass, where they basically said the targeted group of the time, it'd be like right now if the police dressed up like BLM and smashing windows, and then they got to go after they get to racial profile again out in the open without like the 60s, dude, like the 60s and the what was going on down south with the voting thing. You know what I'm saying? The rampant side of corruption. I mean, look, dude, feudal times, totally freaking corrupt. Total mafia, mob rule, brutal iron fist and the velvet glove types, Machiavellian types, okay? Cut your freaking head off, send your body parts to the four corners of the kingdom type of brutal brute force and inquisitions and stuff like this, dude. Listen, things can become totally corrupted from the inside out. They have happened already in our time frame. I'm sure, look, you can look into the Rick Ross cocaine conspiracy where there was intelligence agents using him as a proxy to get money to finance another freaking conflict down in South America without him even knowing about it. The same thing, they always said they went over to the Middle East to protect the poppies, and this is the same thing. Look, Vietnam used to be known as the Golden Triangle because you could get all the baddest dopes possible are grown right out there in these little slave colonies, these little plantations of sorts. And part of look, it's all tied in, man, with the monsoons. The government was creating that, and they were trying to flood out the poppy fields at the time because they wanted to be the only one with the frickin' source. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to cut the competition out. Uncle Sam was, so to speak. Look, factions, black ops, deep state, privatized portions of already going institutions, okay? I mean, it's complicated. You do your own research for it. I mean, it's like America was the first 5 Ivy League colleges were started by the pirates through the frickin' opium trade and Shanghaiing Chinese people to build the railroads. I mean, listen, we live in a cruel, brutal, exploitative, life is cheap here planet. You know what I'm saying? I know it sucks, man. Look, hey, I get it. I get it why it's easier to just to go to sleep and stay in the dark. You know what I'm saying? But look, not around here. But what's crazy is, you know, you got all these, history is full of these people playing both sides, dude. The Americans were financing the communists and the freaking Germans, okay? And it's kind of like the Rothschilds. What they did, they would loan both sides money during war, because war costs so much money. War's a racket. War's an industry, dude. And the military-industrial complex / intelligence complex. See, now what's so complex is the intelligence with their spying on us and all this surveillance and stuff. And that gives your regular guys a lot more power than they used to have. I mean, on both sides of this equation. I mean, if you were well financed, you could counter intelligence, counter surveillance, and spend a fortune on it. And hey, somebody's still getting paid, and they love it. This is great for business, job security. This is the type of world we live in. It's just so cutthroat, and like, look, if you can get away with it, why not? American dream. You know what I'm saying? You get to, retire and tweak in peace for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Freaking something like that. But what's funny is this. I mean, there was a Satanist guy in the 80s, and he was on a talk show, and he was talking about how they're basically just social Darwinists, and they're Machiavellianists. They do whatever it takes, and they would infiltrate every faction of society that has some kind of authoritarian power, and they'll look out, they'll control things from in secret, hidden, occult. Through occult means. I mean, occult means just like, look, if you can terrorize people into shutting up, it's like magic. It's like you got them under a spell where they won't turn on you because they're afraid, okay? This is the kind of exploitative positions that these people look for, these narcissistic safe havens. And they get inside of the structure, the infrastructure, and they're like literally like a sleeper agent that, these guys are very socialistic, communistic, fascistic types. They're abusive, authoritarian, sadomasochistic types, man, that like to Willie Lynch people. They get duping delight. They get off on causing all this chaos, and no one knows it's them. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, they blame it on some scapegoat, some N-word, so to speak, of society. Whoever they deem to be the N-word for the year, for the century. You know what I'm saying? And they're conveniently creating boogeyman. Look, straw men. Straw men means it doesn't really exist. Like Kaiser Sose from The Usual Suspects. They make all these paper tigers and these puppets that they dangle in front of the public to justify some horrible stuff that they're covering up, that they're getting, that there's bribery and corruption, and they always have a convenient pre-manufactured excuse for everything. I mean, it's just like it's basically, look, the police is a military force that's out here, dude. It's not, I don't see these guys as necessarily the good guys neither. They're taught to predator us and lie to us, and if you be like, no, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Bam, they slap the book at you because they look. It's if they think you're lying, you know what I'm saying? If they just pin it on you if they think you're lying, like, you know what I'm saying? So they get to lie, and it's lying is a sin. Thou shalt not lie. So how can you say this is a good guy when they're frickin' kind of pricks? I mean, excuse my frickin' French. I mean, but isn't everybody sometimes? But no, I'm just saying, this takes a special kind of prick to be a Satanist, infiltrate. And it ain't got to go hard to infiltrate. They like psychopaths. They like sociopaths. They like guys who can go and just F somebody's life and sleep at night. You know what I'm saying? And just put a smile on and just play the freaking role, the uniform. The straight up Milgram experiment type deal. You know what I'm saying? They love that. The world eats that up, man. They're like, yeah, man. They love to subcontract out the role, the position, the suit to some person with a chip on their shoulder, and then they take it out on us. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. These guys are more equipped than the freaking guys out there guarding the poppy fields out in Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? And the Vietnam troops that were out there trying to stop the poppy fields in Vietnam, and how they had Rick Ross's freaking money working in the Contras down in South America. You know what I'm saying? And then simultaneously they're creating 3 strikes drug laws, and they're telling us, hey, there's some crack. Watch out for crack. In a way, they were low key through the cartoons. I'm telling you, I watched cartoons about crack when I was a kid, and it was like, I realize now, you guys made it real. You guys were promoting the crack by saying, oh, your anti-drug campaign, but it was just a big exploitation. It was a F-word fest, and we were the ones we were the jerks in the middle of the circle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it seems like a society was enabling, complacent with all this stuff, with the dude who's president now freaking signed in the 3 strikes drug law. And then there was like this dude Mark Dice, freaking the meeting that changed hip-hop, where the prison industrial complex and other governmental factions made an agreement to push more violent content in music. And this is all going on with the crack freaking epidemic, Bloods and Crips, freaking chaos, carnage. And this was all going on and engineered concurrently. And it's like, from what I heard, like the LA Ramparts Division, he was this task force who was, the CIA taught them how to do drive-bys. It was the police that were doing the drive-bys, and then the dudes in the hood were like, that's a good idea. And then it's all up in movies all the time. Once again, to spread the knowledge of how to do all this heinousness to the public, so they could make more money off us as prison indentured slaves. Because look, the state makes money off prisons. Yeah, look, dude, I'm barely making 20 grand a year if I'm lucky sometimes. They'll pay the state 40 grand to house somebody for all that time. And then, hey, look, it's the same thing. They caught a dude, an employee of the local jail with a key of heroin. Because guess what? On the inside, that dope is worth 20 times its value on the streets. That's like the proverbial offer you can't refuse. Because look, you got to get paid. The more money, more women, more power, more advantages, it would seem. But that's why people take it, man. Because some people get off on the duping delight they get from being exploitative and not being untouchable, so to speak, like Mr. Untouchable. Freaking little factions of the corporation types that exploit the loopholes of everything, and they're all working together. It's cohesive. It's not, and it's like, look, and they're always just got a pre-manufactured scapegoat excuse when we start to catch on to them in a way. Like, look, what I said when they said, "Oh, there's an opium epidemic," I was like, "Oh, that means the shipment's coming in. They're in on it. They're making money off that somehow." And it's like the FLEECT. Look, through these guys, like, it literally, they've made the police force like globalist. Okay, it's a global sweeping movement of like federalization where all these groups can work together as a super Voltron of sorts. It's basically the beast from the Bible, the beast's army, the freaking, in a way. And they were donated all these military grade weapons. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, look, us people on the street ain't got military grade anything. So it's like, if we did, that would justify that. So it's like they're up to something. It's corrupt and it's bribery. Now they owe these guys something.